Okay. I just got done watching Walking Dead, and I'm sure this was definitely an intense episode, but at the same time, there are a couple things that I kind of don't like. At the same time as those things that I do like. Um, where to start? I mean, there was a lot of substance in this episode as well, like last episode. Let's start with Carl and the girl. I can't remember her name, but the girl. That was pretty simple. They're starting to grow closer uh, because they're the two that are quote unquote out there. They're the ones that are used to being out there a lot, and she whispers something very interesting, like this is their world, we're just living in it, which is horseshit. I mean, from a certain point of view, it sort of makes sense because right now there are more walkers than there are people, assumedly. So they've pretty much taken the area, but it's really not. They're humans. It's the human world. It's just inhabited by humans that have been taken over by a disease that we don't know too much about yet. But I don't know. I disagree with her. And Carl, you know, Carl's looking to get some of that. You know, in other news, let's talk about Sasha. I guess next. With Sasha, she's gone nuts. I mean, Noah pushed her even further over the edge. The fact that he's dead, and Esperanza, I think her name is. Man, she is definitely she's real smoking. Let me tell you something. She she's kind of in the background though. She hasn't really had any real character development. This episode did serve a purpose to humanize her a bit more, give her a little bit of character. So I like that. And Michonne, fuck Michonne. I'm saying that right now. Fuck Michonne. She is a. She's turning out to be a bad character at this point. I do not like how Michonne is turning out. I liked her at one point, and now I don't. Not at all. She fuck her. I'll get there later. Um, and fuck Sasha as well. She's killing walkers, and she's nearly getting herself killed. I had it. I had it. You go back. I told you to go back. No, shut the fuck up. The actress is good. She's very good, but the character is just so fucking weak. Just die, honestly. I don't like Sasha at all. I would go as far as to say I hate her at this point. I never liked her from the beginning. She was always just kind of there before she became important, and she was always bitchy in the beginning too. So, um, a lot of fuck this character moments. Obviously, Dickless Nicholas, he went and turned the story on its fucking head to Deanna, saying it was Glenn's fault and Noah's fault. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy. Fuck this guy. More so than Michonne. Fuck this guy more than Sasha. This guy needs to burn in hell. Even more so than Pete. Um, oh God. And then, the speech that Glenn gave him, I mean, it was short and sweet and great. Glenn is awesome. Glenn has turned into an awesome character. His conversation with Rick was cool. What I don't like, I'll get to Rick. I'm saving Rick and that storyline for last. Okay. So, Maggie didn't have anything in this episode, even though she heard what Gabriel said. Gabriel didn't have anything in this episode. Oh, but he will in the next episode. He was in the previews. I don't know what's happening there. But Carol, I mean, the extent of Carol's role was, she gave a casserole for Deanna and or whatever it was, and then, was telling Rick shit, and then she kind of silently supported him all the way through. At least that's how it seemed. So there was that. Daryl didn't have much. I mean, Daryl was just kind of hunting with Aaron. and they see the marked heads again. So this is starting to really recur, like over and over. This W that's on the head. It stands for Wombo, maybe, I don't know. Shit, I can't believe I made that reference. Fuck me. So whether or not this is Negan, whatever. Whether or not it's him, we don't know. Well, comic book readers might know. I don't fucking know. But I'm assuming it's going to be an upcoming villain. I mean, that's what it seems like, just based on the context of the reveals and just the atmosphere around it. It just seems like it's an upcoming villain. I guess I'll talk about Deanna's story a little bit, and then I think it's finally time for Rick. So, Rick and Michonne, of course, but Michonne very little bit about. So Deanna, obviously they're mourning the loss of their son by playing one of his favorite tracks, and it eventually gets to the point where, the father says stop. And I thought it was a good scene for what it was. It was interesting. And then she burned the letter that Carol gave. And then, of course, she tells Rick not to kill Pete. And then at the end, she's basically saying that, Rick, you're done. You shouldn't even be here. At least that's what she's implying. So Deanna, she's obviously been influenced very slightly by Gabriel. But I think the bigger influence was Nicholas, because she knew him longer, and even more so, the fact that Rick went behind her back, which I understand. And that's one of the things I'm really not happy about with Rick. I don't get there. I keep saying that, but fuck it. It's time to get to Rick. Rick in this episode did some things that I liked, and there were other things I did not like. Let's get to, let's get to this progression here. In the beginning, he was very, very angry, and he was holding his gun out, and he just tells Pete to keep walking. Liked it. Loved it. That was sick. It was just a badass moment with Rick, and he was angry, but he was willing to let Pete walk away. And then he keeps getting even angrier. When he's talking to Deanna, I did not like what was happening there. Even though I agree with Rick, I do not agree with the fact that he is deliberately telling Deanna that he was going to kill him. Because you're pissing off the authority. She is the authority as of this right now, even though he has the cop uniform. She has the social power at this point. So ultimately, what Rick did by saying his plan to her was stupid, in my opinion. It was not good, because the fact that she said no, and that didn't deter him in the least bit, just meant that he should never have said anything in the first place. So, then it gets to the point where he just outright says everything to Jesse, which I don't care for either. I did like some of it, but it was so obvious that he was confessing, indirectly confessing his love for her, which I'm like, whatever. Again, I understand why he likes her, but at the same time, this is, he's doing things against the will of Deanna and Jesse, definitely. And then he busts into her house, and the fight ensues with Rick and Pete, and this is where, to be quite honest, I was a bit let down, because I just wanted Rick to beat the living shit out of him. I didn't want to see this good fight. I know usually you want to see a good fight, they get good shots on each other. Not this one. I wanted to see Rick beat the fuck out of him. It would have been far more satisfying Like Pete was like winning at one point. He's choking. I'm like, really, really. This is fucking Rick we're talking about, man. Who hasn't been shot in the hand or shot wherever, like shot in the leg and have his hand fucked up from punching Tyrese over and over, because he would have beaten the governor without those injuries. No freaking doubt. He had 2 injuries versus the governor's 1 injury, and he almost won that fight. And so for Pete to put up a fight, didn't make sense to me. He might be strong. I don't give a shit. I wanted that to be a beatdown. And then the whole choking thing. I don't know. I was never a fan of that kind of death, and obviously Pete's not dead, as far as we know. But yeah, they even tell Rick to get off, and he does eventually. And then this whole speech, which is true, but it's so poorly timed. This speech is like after you've just made a jackass of yourself in front of everybody. Because he should have read the crowd. They were clearly not on his side. They weren't on Pete's side, but they weren't on his side either. They were on Deanna's side. Clearly. They didn't want the strife to continue. They liked their lifestyle. They don't want to change it. And so, Rick's speech was not intelligent. It was not smart. But at this point, he's too emotionally attached to this, this situation, because he's infatuated with this woman, and he wants her, and he hates Pete now, especially because of the whole hitting thing. And a lot of things he said to her was right, but at the same time, it was obvious that it wasn't going to be a knight in shining armor type of thing, because obviously, she just wanted to take care of it. She still likes Pete. She wanted it to work with Pete, but she couldn't. There was something, that she just couldn't tolerate, and that was the hitting, obviously. She tried, but Rick, basically made her say yes to letting him beat the fuck out of him. And then we get to the last thing in the fucking episode, which pissed me off. You want to talk about forming an exit point at the end of a fucking episode? Michonne knocks him out, decks him. Are you fucking kidding me? This infuriated me. I can't believe Michonne would do that to Rick. She sucks at this point. She sucks. I'm saying it. I was not liking the way she was going at this point. And then this episode has made her suck. Absolutely suck. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of Michonne fans out there. I liked Michonne when she was a legitimate part of the group who used her sword as a gimmick, I guess, and was able to be a good hunter for them, be a good walker killer. And she was a mother figure to Carl and a friend to Rick. That is no longer the case. At this point, Michonne has derailed into, I don't know. I mean, she's completely against Rick. I mean, earlier in the season before Alexandria, she was clashing ideals with Rick, and she was trying to call the shots with him. Like, the attitude on this bitch. And now she decks him and punches him and knocks him out. Really? Like, I understand he was going overboard. I even said it, that it was poorly timed. But to fucking deck him? That's your boy. That's your leader right there. You are a bitch. I would love to yell, but there are people sleeping right now, and I don't. If I was home alone, I would fucking yell at the mic, because I'm pissed right now at the end of this episode. I am. So, this episode was not as good as last episode. However, there were some definite pros, even though there were quite a few cons as well. Unfortunately, shit didn't go down as much as I thought it would. But until the end, of course, that's when everything kind of went to shit. But the previews for the next episode, you know, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I know it's going to go on forever, like the last episode, but there's so much to talk about. And you can bet your ass the next episode is going to be long as shit, too, for the review. A 90-minute episode, please. No shot. You have no shot of me not going on rants. The whole Deanna and Rick thing. I'm going to talk about this just a little bit because I feel like this does deserve some depth of conversation here because, Rick, he was put in a position of power as the constable, basically, alongside Michonne, fuck her, but alongside her. And he blatantly abuses that power by telling Deanna what she needs to change and then basically threatens to change it for her in both scenes. In both scenes. The first was implication, the second was outright statements. And so, one, what are you going to expect, Rick? Do you expect her to just say, oh, you're right, we're going to change? No, absolutely fucking not. She's had a system, whether it's worked or not, is irrelevant. She's had a system that she likes. She's not going to arbitrarily change it because you beat up some asshole, that happened to be, the husband of a girl that you want to bang. I don't know. But, on Deanna's side, he approached her at the worst possible moment. She's grieving for her fucking son. And you want to do shit to her? Really? You want to change your policies? And I understand the angle that he came at was that, his angle was people are dying. Clearly, you're in front of your own son's grave. Makeshift grave because he died out there. They didn't even bring him back. And so things have to change. Granted, the reason why he died was himself. Obviously, he shot the grenade. I do feel sort of bad for him because he was starting to come around. Fuck Dickless Nicholas. If this nigga's not dead by next episode, I'm gonna be mad. I'm telling you right now. In the previews, it looked like Glenn was struggling with something. I'm wondering if he's going to choke him out. If Nicholas becomes Negan and kills Glenn, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed beyond pissed. I don't care about volume. I'm going to bring my laptop into my car and yell into the mic. That's how pissed I'm going to be. I will fucking let you guys hear it from the... I'll give you a warning. Don't worry about it. I'll give you a warning on screen. Don't worry. But, oh my gosh. But it looked like he was struggling with something. Could that be Nicholas? Could he be on top of Nicholas, and choking him to death? Or punching him out? I don't know. Could that be a thing? I don't know. If it happens, that would be the shit. If Glenn dies as a result of him after Glenn's becoming awesome, fuck that. You will hear me rant and rant and rant on this podcast, and I won't stop. I know, I'm getting crazy here, man. I'm getting intense. But this show makes me intense. See, the thing is, this show, even, you can analyze its writing as much as you want and say it's good or bad. But one thing the show does very, very well, regardless of whether you hate it or love it, is that it draws you into its story and makes you emotionally attached to what happens in the story. Because you're going to say, fuck that shit. I can't believe they did that. Evidence. I just fucking ranted for like 2 minutes about Michonne knocking out Rick. I'm like, I can't believe she did. Obviously, I've gotten emotionally attached to it. And so I think the show does a very, very good job of doing that. Playing with your emotions and getting you attached to the storyline, whether you hate it or love it. So, on some level, you can call it genius. You know, some people think it's shit. I mean, I don't think The Walking Dead's shit. Honestly, you know, some seasons are better than others. I think the second half of season 4 was not that good, but season 5 stepped it up from the second half of season 4 and part of the beginning of season 4. Obviously, that governor episode, you know, the mid-season finale of season 4 was off the chain, but, you know, we don't have to talk about that now. I'm going on forever. So, 90-minute episode next week. I can't fucking wait. And you guys should not be able to wait for my rant if some of this shit happens that I think may happen. If Nicholas kills Glenn, I'm going to be pissed. I know I said this before, but I am going to be pissed. And it takes a lot to get me to the point of having my blood boil. And I'm about to make a Naruto reference. And then you will see... I don't know, never mind. I was going to make a Kakashi reference about the off-screen rampage, but I don't know how many of you are still Naruto fans. But anyway, I've gone on too long, far too long. So I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, thank you for watching. And we will see you fuckers next week.